really good. Let's hit the baseball now, and I do think I don't know how you wake up as a Seattle Mariner fan and not want to just pull your hair out, burn a jersey when you're trying to make a wild card. Okay, you're actually trying to make a wild card. You're playing, you're playing decent baseball. Maybe a little bit over. You're basically one game out of the wild card spot. You're playing good baseball. Everybody's talking about the Kraken and trying to get the Sonics back, but you're playing good. And your team trades your closer. Okay, you trade the closer, fine. You trade the closer, fine. But you trade the closer to the team that's in first place in your division.
Yeah, and probably the most consistent closer this past
Oh
season.
my
Right?
god!
I mean, can you think of a closer who's been more consistent than him?
I can't. I
Not
can't
not Diaz, not Chapman.
oh my god!
Not Kelly Jansen.
Kelly Jansen. I love Kelly. I love me some Kelly Jansen for the most part. But Graveman has been. I'm just gonna go through the numbers real quick. So 30 a row that he has. How many saves this year? I mean, so he has 10 saves this year. That's that. Is that it?
Yeah, but he didn't start out as the closer,
He's not trying to close
and
up.
he
Yeah.
moved into the closer role.
Did you know
And
what
he has a great name as a closer too.
he does?
Grave man.
Grave man. Did you want to know what his ERA is right now?
If it's above 1.5, I'd be shocked.
It's 0.82. I mean, God, Jesus. How do you like? I don't care who. You're not getting. I'm not even gonna look up who they got back. Just the principle, the fact that you are one game out of the wild card. You have a chance to have a one game playoff. Maybe in your building, maybe not in your building, but you can't even. I mean, you're right. You're right there. I mean, the number one wild card team is gonna be the Rays. I think they're thinking there's too many games ahead of the A's. The Rays are too many games ahead of the Rays and the Mariners. But I don't know how you justify that, man. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand how you do that. I heard an interesting thing on WFAN this week, and I was like, this guy is the first thing I talk to James about. And I think when we talk about babying athletes and all stuff like that, maybe we go to the NBA, other sports, but what the Yankees have done with Gary Sanchez has been probably one of the most like craziest things I've ever seen in my life. So they got rid of a manager who won a World Series because he was too hard on Gary Sanchez. So I forgot the lady's name who covers the Yankees, and she said that he was told the Yankees have told, because of analytics or whatever, they have told Gary Sanchez, James, that pass balls don't matter. Like how do you tell your starting catcher, James, that pass balls don't matter? I mean, just hearing, I could hear like a guy like Buster Posey going like, what? I hear a guy like Johnny Bench. Like, I mean, like, can you imagine telling Yadier Molina, the guy who caught more games than any other catcher in baseball,
I mean, you
that
think
it doesn't matter?
You think about Carlton Fisk, you think about Benito Santiago. I mean, Thurman Munson. You just think about all these, yeah. I mean, that's just embarrassing. That's really embarrassing. And I mean, unless it's something psychological, maybe there was like miscommunication on something through his translator or something. Maybe he didn't understand what they meant, but the only way you get a pass ball is when there's a runner on base. So to me, pass balls are important.
Gary's like, you're going through all this drama, okay, for a guy who is, let's just say,
hitting 211,
217. Give him credit.
Okay, all right.
217. 17 home runs and 37 RBIs. Like really, like you're really going with 82 strikeouts. So like you're really like going this extra mile for a guy who's just behind the plate. I mean, that is just it's nuts. It's really where the old school Steinbrenner Yankees. I don't get who would I mean
Yeah.
pass balls don't matter. Wow.
Yeah. That is crazy. I did not hear that, or else I would have been
I will.
all over that.
Yeah, I got to forward you the interview. I got to forward you the interview. It was incredible that these pass balls don't matter. I just I can't even understand the concept behind that. But Yankees, like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back every time. I thought that was probably one of they. Every time you think they're going to take a stride, they have a loss like they did in Houston, and then at the end of the All Star break. They had a loss to the Red Sox that was monumental. I mean, that's just. I mean, I know as far as momentum goes in baseball, it's a little different, but that's a bad. I mean, that was a bad loss as well. This team is just not put together well. I
They're
mean,
just blah.
they're not. No,
There, I mean, there's
their stars don't play.
there's nothing exciting to watch for them about. There's really not. You know, they've they've turned Giancarlo Stanton to be unexciting. I guess the most exciting thing would be to watch for pass balls now, but there's absolutely nothing to, and you see it all over Twitter. Like people are just like, it's hard to like this team, and these are diehard Yankee fans.
Oh yeah,
who are like, this is a hard team to like. Like they need to shake something up.
Is it? I mean, is it worth it to as we close in on the All Star break? Is it worth it to go ahead and make a move for this team? Because I don't know if they're worthy of making a move for. Are they worthy of like, hey, let's make a move to try to get into it?
No, because
Because
if they were, and I know he doesn't want to go there. Scherzer has like, I guess, provided a list, and it's the whole National League West pretty much.
yeah, it is a 3-team battle right now. I mean, for National League West title and for Matt Scherzer, because
but if you get Scherzer, and like if Scherzer were to go to New York, sure you have Cole and you have Scherzer, right?
yeah.
You still have no offense. Like nothing on that offense has proved to you that they need a pitcher. Like they need, and I mean they're not going to get him, but they need to find a Fernando Tatis, a Javi Baez. They need to find someone with energy to be on that team.
Rizzo.
A Rizzo, but I'm hearing Rizzo to Boston like as a hot rumor. That's like all over the place. So I mean, if that were to happen, Rizzo would have that whole cowboy up mentality in Boston.
He's really he would kill.
Yeah, I mean, you put him and
that.
Verdugo in the same lineup with the energy they bring to the field.
I love Verdugo's passion. So same thing with Rizzo. So that would be fun to watch too as well. Yeah, that'd be fun. The Yankees
it's gonna be an interesting 48 hours.
The Yankees are 20th in batting average. Let's go to home runs because the San Francisco Giants lead the league in home runs, which is amazing. Gabe Kapler, gotta love him. They're 12th in home runs. Let's just go to the most important stats, probably runs scored, right? Let's see where they are. The Houston leads the league. The Yankees are. The Mets are 29th in runs scored. The Yankees are 24th in 30-team league runs scored. So, I mean that's it. I mean you gotta score runs. We talk about analytics, talk about all the stuff you want to talk about as far as that goes, but got to score runs, and they don't score runs.
I mean, imagine the Mets record if they did score runs.
That'd be
and the one thing too, like people, and again, it's because it's the whole last 10-year mentality. People forget about the 87 Twins. All you have to do is win your division. Mm-hmm. You win your division, and anything can happen. And I know we have the extra tier of playoffs now, but like that was a Twins team that didn't really start winning and hitting until August and September of that year, and they made a big trade down the deadline. And that's where the Mets are kind of lining up, and if the Mets were to get a Javi Baez, a Chris Bryant, they become a different team.
Which is the rumor right now is I'm not sure what the Giants would do to give up for Bryant, but that's the talk right now as Bryant could possibly be going to the Giants.
Yeah, and I heard, and they're talking Baez to the Mets, and you think, oh wow, Baez and Lindor are both shortstops, but they're best of friends. And Baez,
somebody go to second base, no problem for that.
Yeah, and I think Baez would. I think Baez is already, that's what he did for the Olympic teams for Puerto Rico. So,
what do you think about Baez's his little thing with the Reds this week? Did you see the?
I thought that was interesting. I think if the outfielder did not give up on that ball, they could have thrown him out at first, and that would have been really interesting.
That is very. I was thinking this.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. Like, why not? Because he's yapping a whole lot.
He's yapping. He's not looking at the outfield. He's walking to first, and it's just a matter like if the outfielder. I mean, your natural reaction as an outfielder once it's over your head is to just drop your shoulders and start running in. But if he ran for that ball, it would have been really crazy if you threw him out at first. Like that's what I'm thinking the whole time he's walking. I'm like, unless there was one out. I don't know if there's one out.
It was a sack. I think it was a sack fly. So I think
no,
it was 2 outs on that play.
It must have been 2 outs because the outfielder didn't go for the ball.
I gotta see this.
The ball was over his head. If it was 1 out, it would have been a sack fly, and it wouldn't matter. Even if they threw him out at first, it wouldn't have meant anything. But if there's 2 outs and that outfielder goes after that ball and throws him out at first,
Baez walk off. Let's see if I can find it here. Baez walk off. Let's go. Okay. So it's 1 out. It was 1 out.
Okay.
It was 1
huge
out.
Difference then.
Yeah, it was 1 out. Because they're going through the whole thing. I mean, I don't have a problem with Amir Garrett. I think the sport has a little fire in him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he kind of goes through this a lot with a lot of people. So it's not just this team. He goes through battles with everybody, as far as that goes. So
yeah, and I mean, he would be the perfect player in New York. I mean, him and Polar Bear together with their love of the game and attitudes, and even Lindor brings energy. Like the Mets would be that excitement in New York that you need that you just don't see from the Yankees.
It's funny, like when watching this right now, on the side of my eye, and he is. I mean, talk about. I mean, he's yapping the whole time. He's in the plate, which you don't see very often at all. Like I don't know what he's saying, but that's a good little battle right there.
You almost have to wonder if it was like a girl ex-girlfriend involved or something with these two.
Yes, exactly. And the umpires automatically try to get Amir Garrett off the field, like because they know that he was the same guy who did have the fight with was it the Pirates or the Pirates. He went into the dugout like he didn't care. He wasn't joking as far as that goes. Guardians of Ohio. All right, the Guardians of Ohio. No more Indians. The Cleveland Guardians. First, I don't know. Name it. You own the team. Name what you want. I really don't care. What is your first reaction to the Guardians here?
I think it's summed up by a meme that I saw where it was someone hit, they had the Google search and it was like words that end in DIANS. I guess I get it. I guess I feel there was a lot of other options.
That's what I feel too.
I'm also someone like I understand the whole Redskin mentality. I don't understand the Indian mentality, the against the Indians and the Braves and the Chiefs. And I get the Indians with the cartoon logo was considered offensive, and we know why Redskins is offensive. I'm actually hoping that Washington stays the Washington football team. I actually like that.
Everybody is, it's funny. They might as well just do it because everybody is saying that Everybody's saying that they should do that because I'm kind of used to calling them that. This is the like little Guardians thing here for the. That's it, the Guardians.
Yeah, you can actually spell Indians in that if you look at it closely.
Okay.
You take the second half of that A,
Yeah.
and the R looks like an N, so you still have
So
Indians in
here
there.
we go. Here we go. I'm not sure. I mean, the wings. I'm not feeling the wings. I don't think.
Yeah, and the wings
You
actually
could
look like the Angels logo, the Disney Angels logo.
you could just kept just the G there, and that's fine as far as that goes. But hey, that's what it is. It's what it is. I do understand they kind of go over here where the like why it's the Indian why it's the Guardians here. So that's kind of cool as well. But no problem. I mean, I do have I do definitely agree with you with the Washington football team. I'm just used to it now. I mean, I didn't think I would be used to it, and I know they're going through a lot of games where they're trying to figure out if they want to do the Washington football team or not. I like that. I think they should absolutely just keep it.
I think they
And
should
go
just
with it.
keep it. I
Yeah,
know
keep
there's
it.
no like official logo, but if you come up with something, the colors are the same.
Mhm. Yeah, as far as
It's
that
very
goes.
European, because
Yeah.
when you think of football clubs, and actually there's a lot of Major League Soccer teams now that are doing that.
Yeah,
They're the
doesn't the New York there's a New York Football Club don't they do that as well? New York Football Club, is that what
you
they
have the
FC
the
something or whatever?
New York City Football Club, NYCFC.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have FC. You have in Kansas City, it's KCFC or Kansas City FC.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Washington should stick with the football team.
Yeah, just stick it. Just stick with it. I mean, you're gonna as long as that owner's there making decisions, it's gonna be a mess anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, as long as they don't use Guardians.
What Washington Guardians? I don't think so. Let's see here. No, sorry, the Patriots. The Padres. They're still making moves as well. And I hear the move that might be coming soon is if they're looking for somebody to unload that Hosmer contract. So Hosmer could be on the move. As far as that goes, they do get the second baseman from the Pirates. The Pirates going to be you want some quality players. But besides Brian Reynolds, the Pirates will definitely oblige you right now. Thoughts about they're just a weird team, aren't they? I mean, you feel like they are the most talented team in the division, even with the Dodgers. But they still just seems like they just can't like kind of push it, put it together to kind of. I mean, it's hard to
They
say.
need that big winning streak. I think that's the only thing that's missing on the Padres
Yeah.
this year is that big winning streak. And I'm also hearing them with Gallo, Joey Gallo. So that's
Where are these people going to play? Where are these people going to play? Like I don't
I don't know,
understand.
but
I don't get it.
it's like the one thing I'm hoping. I mean, the Padres did this one time. It was it 98? No, there was a time they had Sheffield and McGriff, and they were competitive for a couple of years, and they just cleaned house. They just traded everyone away.
It's different now. It's
and I hope this isn't like the Marlins did it that one time too. They brought in all these players to sell tickets and then traded everyone away. Like I hope San Diego's trying to build something. And again, with them being the only game in town, maybe people are investing.
They got no excuse
in this, and they can bring on these players and these contracts. I mean, they're the fifth biggest market. Is what they're called.
I mean, honestly, like living out here, like they're invested. I mean, you have a superstar player who re-upped to stay here for 13 more seasons. You cannot. It is. What I'm going to tell you is difficult to buy. It is hard to find games against the Rockies. Like you cannot. It's very difficult to get games. People who live out here are like you could always go. You just walk up and go get Padre tickets. Right now, you have to really you have to know somebody, and they're playing somebody good. Forget about it. Forget about it as far as that goes. Giants and Dodgers. Giants win last night 2-1. They took 3 out of 4 in LA. The only game they lost was a game where their closer blew the game at the end, so it could have been possibly a sweep. The Giants continue to do all this, and Cody Bellinger throws that ball into stratosphere on that error. As far as that goes, I know they're hurt a little bit, but I think the underlying thing about this team is, you know, he's not playing. So if you're not playing, then people can move on from you. But the fact that they're going after Scherzer is so bad, like, what is? I mean, it just means, like, I don't think are we gonna see Bauer the rest of the year? I mean,
I think so, and apparently the players don't want him back.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's off the record stuff, but there was a couple of articles yesterday that the Dodger teammates, they were indifferent to him coming there. Like, they knew the on the field Bauer that they were getting, and they thought they could put up with him. But with this now, like, they don't want him back in the clubhouse, and it's not even divisive. It's the majority is like, no, no one wants him back on this team. So his leave got extended again, which is the crazy part too, because originally it was extended. It was supposed to be ending this Monday, which makes everything different coming into the trade deadline, and then they extended it to August 2nd, which kind of puts the Dodgers in a position of, and yeah, we know they can afford it, but like, what do they do at the trade deadline? Like, do they bring a pitcher in? And then it just got extended again beyond the second. So I think, if they're in on Scherzer, they go in on Scherzer. I think of the three teams in the West, they're the only team that can take on that deferred contract. Don't forget, like, Scherzer doesn't get paid a penny this year, but he gets paid $17 million or $7 million over the next 5 years.
Oh,
Scherzer.
Is that correct? Because I keep saying
that is correct. That is correct.
Because
he's not getting paid. Yeah, he didn't get any money this year.
Okay.
And the last $35 million is deferred, $7 million on Bobby Bonilla Day for the next 5 years.
So that's how his contract is, because when you go to Spot Rack to look at the contract, it just says he's a free agent for next year.
Yeah, he's a free agent, but it's all deferred money, but there's still 5 years on it. So I think that's also, like, that's what's holding up a lot of trades. Because you could get more if Washington keeps some of that salary over the next 5 years. You're going to get better prospects, and you're going to get a better deal. If they want that off the books, they're not going to get very much for him. They're not going to, they won't be able to bring in like 2 top 15 prospects if they're not willing to take any of that money back.
Undeferred till he's 43 years old, $15 million a year. So I don't. I'm. So if you trade him, you're on hook. You're on hook for this. For next, you're on. You're
on the hook. So if he comes to your team,
yeah,
and he pitches the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and he leaves to go to another team and is a free agent, you're going to pay him for the next 5 years. So are you going to pay someone $7 million a year for 5 years to win a World Series?
To pitch for somebody else?
Yeah, and while he's pitching for someone else and possibly defeating you in the playoffs.
So he's getting 2 checks, possibly.
He'll be getting 2 checks for the next 5 years, possibly. Yeah.
So if he goes to the Padres, and the Padres decide to keep him, then he's getting this deferred salary and his regular salary, whatever he signs for. Jesus Lord, you gotta love baseball contracts. My God.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was the only way Washington could make it fit under the
his luxury tax.
To not cover the luxury tax. Damn. And now they get that off the books for the next 5 years. I think that's the whole, so their GM has to be working a lot around the clock to figure something out, and I doubt Scherzer's gonna
he wants to move west.
He wants to move west, and I doubt very much he's going to rework his contract with that $7 million. I don't think he'll take $7 million less per year either.
I tell you, man, Scott Boras, you gotta love him. You gotta love him. He knows what he's doing. I did see, and this is something I did not see. But yeah, I mean, according to, you were definitely 100% correct. that the majority of Dodger players don't want Trevor Bauer back on the team. This is a story from um, CBS Sports. So I mean, his salary is huge. I mean, his salary is. I mean, he's
I mean, and
making.
then they
It's
have to have
short
their.
though. It's short.
It's short. It's 3 years, but they have to have their lawyers and their contract experts looking over this contract for an escape. There has to be some kind of like, you know, performance off the field, represent the team well type of clause in there
Do you?
that
I
they're
mean,
probably looking at.
I mean, do you think with this situation, and I'm not putting all these situations into one because they could be different, but like, do you feel like this is going to be something where teams are just going to have that in contracts now
Yes, I think
because
it's
of
already. I think it's already
Deshaun
there.
Watson? Yeah, probably already
I
there.
I think it's already there in most contracts. But again, you know, Houston hasn't told Deshaun Watson to stay away from camp. Of course, if they tell him that, they have to pay him, so he
Yes.
can't sit out. But and then they're talking. Someone had asked about the commissioner's exemption, which is usually only a regular season thing, because you don't get paid in the off season. But if he was to be put on the commissioner's exception list for the off season, they can't fine him
Mm-hmm.
for not coming to camp. So, but it's that died out a lot quicker. So you don't know what's going on behind the scenes with that. But this Bauer one, and
Mm-hmm.
I think like if the Dodgers find a way to void his contract, I would be shocked, especially in today's day and age, if the players union fought against that happening.
This is one where I think they you got to stand. They're gonna stand down on this one. I think all the parties at bay will know all the more intricate details that we might not even know. And I think I would be surprised if the players association usually kind of raises their hand and put their nose in. I don't think they do it this time.
Yeah, and apparently one of the extensions, I think the extension that brought it past August 2nd, was motioned by Bauer's team, which kind of A, made it easier for the Dodgers to decide what to do, but B, apparently they were claiming they got the defense presented something to them last minute that they weren't prepared to receive, and they need more time to look into it. So
Mm.
I think one might be an additional witness or someone to testify. They weren't really clear on exactly what it was.
So I would say this too. When you look at the Dodgers roster, and look at their team. They got some young players for the most part, some veterans, but they really are stand-up guys like Betts, Turner, Muncy, all. I mean, Taylor. Like they are, Kershaw. Like I mean, they really do have guys who are like they're not like those outliers who are going to be like running their mouth and talking a lot. I mean, they're not. If they weren't wearing blue uniforms, I wouldn't hate them. Like what I mean? I hate them because they're just
Oh yeah.
because
I
yeah,
mean, I mean,
their their
they
manager
were
is a
a
good
much
guy.
they were a much more talented, all around talented, boring team than what the Yankees are. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, they were kind of a blah, very good team, but they were a complete team, unlike the Yankees. Where the
Yes.
Yankees are just a bunch of DHs and they're locked in with Giancarlo Stanton's contract and giving them very little move to do with Judge. So
Yeah. And then from Bleacher Report too as well, like you said, Javi Baez does want to play with Lindor. So that would be, I mean, that would be a great move. That would be a great move for the Mets if they can pull that off. I mean, he was. I mean, you got. I mean, I think if you're the Mets, you're the Mets. The last time you won it was '86. You gotta just put both boards,
yeah, I mean,
put both oars in the water and go get it. I mean, you have to.
Carrasco is apparently going to pitch on Friday.
Mhm.
You have Syndergaard possibly coming back. So and DeGrom, when he gets off this little IL rest that he's on coming back, if you can get through patchwork for the next couple of days and you can bring in more offense, because that's what they're missing. They're missing offense, really. Alonso's really brought it on since the home run derby. He's like a different player all of a sudden. But you get Baez in there and just the energy, and Lindor playing with his best friend it would just be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it doesn't mean they'll sign him, but like just for this short period of time, that would be something special to watch those two play. In the middle of the infield and be able to get things done for the Mets, and it's kind of a deal that you would see the old school Yankees do. But the Mets are in that position. I think the Mets don't just finish this, get to the playoffs, make a run, take over that city a little bit, because the other team in New York is in shambles as far as that. I mean, I mean, and then
I've said it all along, and it's been experienced. Like, whenever the Mets are good, the '86 Mets, and even the '87, from '84 to '88, the excitement around the Mets was higher than at any point during the Yankees Joe Torre years, even during that run. Like, that just becomes a Met town so fast and so big when the Mets are good.
Yeah. And with the Yankees too, like, I mean, I think if you and I were on the Yankee roster, they would put us in the outfield over Giancarlo Stanton. Like, I don't understand.
They're doing everything possible to not put him in the outfield.
Like, how many DHs can you have on one team? Like, you only can play one.
Well, and you can't sign Judge long term.
They're going to, though.
They can't. He's got to become a DH.
Or
one of them's got to learn how to play first base.
Can you imagine? I mean, why not? They're already a bad defensive team anyway. So why not? Sanchez behind the plate, Stanton at first base. Why not? They're pretty bad. Oh man. Anything caught your eye, movie wise, TV wise, or sports wise over the last week, James?
No, not really. I watched the Woodstock '99 documentary on HBO. Felt it was very, I was at Woodstock '99. I was at Woodstock '94 also. Woodstock '99, we left after a day and a half because you could feel the tension rising. You could feel how crazy it was getting with the heat and everything.
It got very violent. I'm thinking
it was a very violent ending. A lot of stuff was going on. The only thing I didn't like about the documentary is they blamed a couple of bands, but they never interviewed anyone from those bands. So it would have been interesting to see what someone from Limp Bizkit had to say, what a Kid Rock would have had to say about it. Those are the bands that they said were hyping people up the most. Metallica. Just overall, it just wasn't a good experience. Like I said, we did all 4 days. We went out on Thursday for Woodstock '94, and we lasted till the end. But Woodstock '99, a day and a half into it, we were just like, this shit's gonna explode. Let's get out of here. And we packed up and left. But yeah, the documentary covers a lot of interesting stuff. They do have John Scherer, who was the promoter of it. A lot of behind the scenes interviews, press conferences that you didn't see before. But I just felt like it was, to be fair and balanced, they should have interviewed the bands who in the documentary they were pointing fingers at. So I don't know if it was like, well, these guys don't want to talk to us, so we're going to put more blame on them. But yeah, that's the thing I've watched recently. We're a week away from Suicide Squad, so I can't wait for that. That's really what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. One football note before we go is anybody more celebrated for going to work than Aaron Rodgers? That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was ridiculous yesterday.
It was ridiculous, right?
Which just proves his whole offseason is all about getting his contract renegotiated.
And now he has the ability to leave after this year. Is that the Last
That's-
Dance tweet he put out and everything like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not sure what team he'd be thinking to go about going to, whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, I just, this whole thing is kind of crazy. And I just feel like at the end of the day, he got what he wanted. I would have never given him what he wanted. I just playing on the contract, and you're going to sit out a season or retire, go do Jeopardy with LeVar Burton, go ahead and do it. But these teams are scared of players, which is kind of crazy to me. Especially in football when you have all the control. A lot of good things here, a lot of good nuggets in this episode on the Put On Waivers podcast. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those things like that. James, anything important?
Well, I mean, our next show will be after the baseball trade deadline. The NHL free agent period starts at noon today, Eastern time, and we'll have an NBA draft possibly.
NBA draft
or NBA free agency. I'm sorry.
Yeah. With a lot of rumors about a lot of different things. You see a lot of player movement here. We'll see if we'll see if any of these big names get moved. I'm going to be interested to see how that happens.
Bradley Beal is going to be the interesting one. Bradley Beal is going to be very interesting. I think Bradley Beal is going to be more interesting than Portland Dame. I think that's really interesting if that comes out that he wants to be traded.
I mean, if he goes to Boston, though, that's the thing. The only thing about him going to Boston is if you're gonna get Bradley Beal, you got to keep Brown and Tatum. Otherwise, you're flipping it. You want to get those three players together. I think the interesting thing about it is like I'm interested to see what he does as a GM. We know about Brad Stevens as a coach, but him as a GM should be interesting to see what he pulls off in Boston.
Then obviously you have DeMar DeRozan now wanting to team up,
born and raised
willing to sign for less with the Lakers. So
born and raised in Compton. Brett, come home.
So we should have a very interesting show next week.
That should be fun. All right, take care, brother.
Have a good one.